Hello and welcome to Comedian versus Economist. My name's Adam, and as always, we're joined by my little older brother and real-life economist, Thomas. Hi, Thomas.
Yeah, g'day, Adam. How you going?
Doing very well, thank you. But as always, we're looking at charts. If you want to follow along, you'll find them on Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube at TV Podcast. Thomas, massive show coming up. We've got all the highlights from the economics night of nights, the budget, of course. We had deficits, electricity subsidies, industrial relations, and Jim Chalmers in that dress. Boy, what a night it was. Did you celebrate? Did you?
No, I had a quiet one.
What?
Yeah, just with the wife and a cup of tea, and just watched it on the big screen.
Very good. So yeah, lots to cover there. And factory workers are having more sex than college grads. Factory workers having sex. Now that's what I call industrial relations. But first, Thomas, BYD claim they can deliver 400 kilometers of driving from a single 5-minute charge. But that's nothing. My Uber Eats driver delivered 400 nuggets in 5 minutes with a single surcharge. Thomas, what's going on with BYD?
Yeah. So the announcement this week that BYD has leapfrogged Tesla. So Tesla's share price continues to get bumped around. I think it's rebounded a little bit now, but
They've got jumping cars now?
Jumping like the Frogger game.
Want to ride? Sure. Hop in. Right.
Yeah. So
is this the new battleground? This is it's like which is it's about time, I gotta be honest. Like this has been the plague of EVs, right? Charging time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I think we talked about this about EV buyer regret on the show a few months ago, maybe. It said like in Australia 50% of EV owners wouldn't buy EVs again.
Yeah.
Or a pure EV again. And I think charge time is the big killer. Yeah, like on our Nissan Leaf, it's a full we get 120 Ks tops, and that takes 4 to 5 hours to charge up.
How long do you reckon it would take you to walk that far? Probably a little bit further. But yeah, because I mean, like people talk about range anxiety with EVs, or they used to. But ultimately, range anxiety is only a problem because it takes so long to charge. Like if you can only drive 100 Ks at a time, that's not a big deal if you can charge up, in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. And the lack of charging infrastructure. But it's always been the what people say is the bottleneck for mass adoption is that quick charge time relative to combustion vehicles. Yeah, and so BYD came out and announced that they'd leapfrog Tesla at something like half the cost or something. So, BYD can now do 400 kilometers in 5 minutes.
Oh,
which is, that's
impressive. 400 Ks in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so Tesla was 275 Ks in 15 minutes.
No good. I mean, that's not bad, but I still see people sitting in Teslas, just waiting, just sitting in their cars in charging stations, looking at their phone. Probably charging their phone.
That's why it takes so long.
It's such a conundrum. You're sitting in your car waiting for your car to charge, and what else are you going to do?
Yeah, but 400 Ks in 5 minutes, like that's comparable. I mean,
I don't think I could fill up my car in that time.
No,
fill up the car, go in, pay, do whatever. So that's good.
I mean, I guess you still got to pay somehow, but I mean, I think that's parity. So now we're looking at something that's comparable with combustion vehicles for charge, which I think is a bit of a game changer. And I think the thing for Tesla is that they not only did they leapfrog the performance in such an epic way, but they're doing it at like half the cost, if not less. So
right.
Pretty impressive.
I heard on the Equity Mates headlines show too, which if you haven't heard, it's very good. It's only about 5 minutes each morning. It gives you all the news. But I heard that BYD's share price is up, and in fact their profits are surging, whereas I think their share price went up is up 33% over the year, whereas Tesla's is down about the same. So that's maybe reflecting some of this technological separation too.
Yeah. Well, the stat I saw is that BYD share price is valued at like something like $37,000 per sale, per car sale.
Per car?
Per car sale.
Yeah,
So
right.
like if you divide the total number of sale, the market cap by the total number of sales, you get like, I don't know, maybe like 20,000, something like that, something kind of reasonable. But Tesla is valued at $320,000 per car. They sold last year. So
yeah, but it's the promise of more cars.
yes, yeah.
Right. And so this is all well and good, but we mentioned charging infrastructure. Like even for my phone, right? It only charges quickly if I've got like a fast charger.
Right.
So you'd
Right.
need fast chargers too, or do you just need to convert your house into like a small power station?
Yeah. No, I don't know. Yeah, maybe that's only if you're next to a nuclear power plant or something.
Well, this could be it. Maybe there's a lot of resistance. I remember when people were talking about doing nuclear facilities in Australia, and people saying, "I don't want my backyard turned into a nuclear waste dump or whatever." But maybe if we can offer people, charge your EV in 3 minutes, just for a small reactor, placed in the neighbourhood, then I can see that. I can see the richer estates going for it. All right, Thomas, time to talk budget, and we've got so much to get through. We'll split this up with a little break in the middle, give you a little rest. But the budget was last Tuesday. Bit of a non-event, wasn't it? Like, is that just me? I mean, it's always a non-event in my life, but I felt like more than ever, it was a bit of a non-event.
Yeah, I mean, largely all the spending measures are telegraphed well in advance, if not announced completely in advance. So there's not a lot of new information. They update the estimates of revenue going forward, and so that changes the numbers. And then governments typically try to have one sort of signature policy that's fresh, that captures the attention.
Yeah.
But on the whole, it's not. And this was kind of a boring budget, which is sort of what you want budgets to be. You don't want them to be too splashy and too crazy. Like at the headline level, we're going back into deficits. That's going to be on the projections 10 years, but you can't really trust those figures because there's a lot of like favorable assumptions that they make, and then the economy changes and who knows where we end up. But so we're sort of looking at deficits, but we typically run deficits. The deficits peak where they peak is pretty ordinary. It's typical of what we saw in the 2010s. Right. So it's like, nothing too wacky or crazy there. Right.
So let's look through deficits. Let's look through to some of the other. We got tax cuts. We got $268 each, which what's that about? 40 cents a day.
Yeah, well, no, $5 a week in 26-27, up to $10 a week in 27-28. So there's been a little bit of pushback saying like, well, it's just a coffee. Yeah. The funny thing is that in 2003, Amanda Vanstone came out and was sort of famous because there was a $4 a week tax cut, and she called it the milkshake and a sandwich tax cut. Because back in 2003, you could buy a milkshake and a sandwich for $4.
Yeah, right.
So now it's like $10 and like, one coffee.
One coffee. Yeah, I was going to say $5 a week we've covered on this show before. The coffee prices are going through the roof. So it won't even get you a coffee.
Yeah.
Get you a baby chino maybe. Although that's probably as expensive as coffee these days.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, so they've got tax cuts. Yeah, they're not kicking in until 26-27, so won't see it for a little while. It's all at the bottom end.
So why is it in this year's budget then? If
because it's announced. Well, they announced it and legislated it in the same day. So the sort of the politics they're playing here is, so Peter Dutton came out and said we're not supporting this tax cut.
Yeah.
But now that it's legislated, he would have to repeal it, which is a pretty big call.
Right.
He'd have to take away the tax cuts that people are already getting.
Yeah, you don't want to do that going into an election.
No. So it's a bit of a... But he said that he would. So,
right.
Interesting
Yeah.
Interesting
Okay.
hill to die on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Right.
yeah, so it's at the bottom of the range at the lowest tax thresholds going from 16 to 15%, and then down to 14%. So sort of everyone gets it when you adjust the very bottom of the range. So
Right.
kind of progressive. Yeah, but the interesting thing there, we still got bracket creep, and the chart here I thought was interesting is looking at tax receipts as a percent of GDP. So individual income tax is still lifting. So
Right.
it was down around like 9% in 2010, and it's now getting up towards 13% over the forward estimates.
Right.
So it's still lifting thanks to bracket creep and people earning more.
What's bracket creep?
Bracket creep is where wages go up and pull you into a higher tax bracket.
Ah, right.
Yeah. So even though your real wages aren't going anywhere, you end up paying more tax
Yeah.
because your nominal wage is going up.
Like when Mum used to put up board, like she'd made it like a percentage of my income when I started working to live at her house. So it's totally de-incentivized me to work hard or move out. So joke's on you, Mum. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So it's interesting, but company tax and other tax receipts, which I think includes the rent tax,
Yeah.
they're falling as a percent of GDP. So the balance is shifting more towards individuals, which, I don't think anyone really thinks that's a good idea.
Right.
But that's what we got.
That's all we got. All right. The other part of this budget we'll talk about now is electricity subsidies, and this is a big one because you called this one.
I did.
I don't have the exact episode, but you definitely said that the subsidies were here to stay, and they wouldn't get rid of them going into an election, and they didn't.
No, they didn't. They have dropped them back. They have cut them back a bit. Yeah. So that's it's interesting. So there's a bit of still that cost of living relief quote there, but what it does mean is that the RBA can no longer look through the subsidies, I think,
Right.
which is what they'd been doing, saying like, these subsidies have artificially reduced electricity prices. That's artificially reduced inflation.
Yeah.
But it's going to be those subsidies are going to be wound up, and then inflation will bounce back. So we're just going to keep looking. We're going to look through it. They now can't do that because it's kind of baked in. So yeah, I think
so. We might get some rate cuts.
Makes rate cuts more likely. Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
I hate economics so much. Like, maybe unpopular opinion for the listeners of the show.
Kind of made an interesting life choice getting into an economics podcast then.
Just check out all my other finance-related podcasts.
Yeah.
No, but I hate it. Like, so they've reduced the subsidies, right? And that's how we get rate cuts. So, so we were paying.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to pay more for electricity, and because of that, we can now have rate cuts. So. Instead, and I'm not a massive fan of giving money to Australian banks that are turning over record profits, but I'd rather give the money to Australian banks than overseas electricity companies.
Sure. Yeah.
So, I feel like all we've done is we've got rid of those subsidies, so we can then pay more money to.
Well, we haven't got rid of the subsidies; they're staying.
Well,
they're just a little bit smaller.
Yeah, they're smaller. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay.
They're reduced.
Okay. Right, but that just wasn't the words you were using. So okay,
Thomas, they are the words I meant. All right.
I look through the words you used.
We can check the tape. We're recording this. I'm pretty certain that
Okay, good.
Anyway, so we've got lower subsidies, right? So we're going to pay more for electricity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
yes.
And then and because of that we can get some rate cuts.
Yeah, that's right. But the Australian and largely foreign-owned power companies that you were talking about, their revenue doesn't change. All that's changed is that the government is now paying less of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So, power companies, they're fine.
They're fine. They're getting the same money. It's just that I'm paying them less
paying
directly.
more of it.
I'm just instead the government's paying more by using my tax dollars
Yeah.
to give them more money. So I'm paying them more indirectly.
The stupidest policy out there, up there with toll road subsidies, I reckon. Though it's interesting, Peter Dutton has said that he's going to look at a gas reservation, which a lot of economists have been calling for a while, because we just produce so much gas and then we just sell it all overseas. And now we're building import terminals so the Japanese and Chinese can sell it back to us. Just insane. Peter Dutton's announced that he's going to make gas reservation part of coalition policy. Another hot take. 0 chance it happens.
Oh, is that right?
No way. Yeah,
he's not going to get elected, or just even if he
well,
does, it
even
won't
if
happen?
he was, the gas industry will kill that one for sure.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they're running front page ads and like advertorials, front page of the Herald about how we need more gas. There's no way. No one's got the backbone to take on the gas companies.
Well, we do, Thomas. It could be the next thing after Track My Brown.
Yeah.
track my gas subsidies.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break here. We'll be back on the other side with some more budget wrap-up, and hopefully you'll stick around for that. We'll talk to you soon. Welcome back. You're on Comedian versus Economist. You'll find us on Instagram and Facebook at CVE Podcast, as well as YouTube, or you can send us an email, cve@equitymates.com, or via the website, equitymates.com/CVE. Thomas, we're talking budget, and we're going to look at housing. So there was a bit about housing in the budget.
Yeah, so the Labor's signature Help to Buy scheme, where the government chips in up to 30 to 40% of the purchase cost, letting you buy it with a 2% deposit. Capped that there's 10,000 places a year where you can get into access to this scheme.
Yeah.
They're going to expand that. So they're going to add another $800 million to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
It is good. Well,
or does this just push house prices up?
It just pushes house prices up. Anything on the demand side just pushes house prices up.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting. So they've added another, and I haven't seen anyone else talk about this, but they've added an extra $800 million, but they haven't increased the number of places at all.
Right. So it's capped at 10,000 places.
Yeah, capped at 10 places. And so what they've done is they've lifted the income caps for eligibility from $90,000 to $100,000 a year for an individual, and from $120,000 to $160,000 for a couple.
Right.
So it seems that $800 million is just being spread over the same number of places, which means it's being used to buy more expensive houses.
Ah, right.
And helping people with higher incomes buy more expensive houses. Or is that just
reflective of house price growth in Australia going up? And so, not necessarily the same houses in the same places. It's just that they now cost a bit more. So they're recognising that.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. $160,000 for a couple? Like, that's not
I'm looking at this and I'm seeing opportunity.
That's not poverty. Right.
Like if I'm single, then it's 100,000. But if I'm a couple, then it's only 160 to get in. So, I'm just why would I not just team up with my nearest
unemployed friend?
Unemployed friend. Put him on the contract, and basically
smart. Yeah. Follow us for more financial advice.
Yeah. Where's Adam?
Smash that subscribe button.
He's off with a lawyer trying to work out how to get the homeless guy from down the road out of a housing contract that he signed. Yeah. All right. Maybe needs more workshopping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. So they could have just. I mean, $800 million is a lot, so they could have just increased some more places.
They could have left the caps and increased the number of places for that $800 million. So, I'm not. I haven't seen the logic explained to me yet, and no one's really writing about it, so I'm not sure. But it seems a little odd to me. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Did you want to talk about migration? We've got a chart here.
Oh, we do, yeah. I mean, just in terms of the impact on the housing market, they've got net overseas migration falling over the forward estimates back to around 200,000 by or 3 years out.
No.
But I don't know. It doesn't seem like the government's got control over these numbers. I don't think
No.
anyone's got control over these numbers.
But
You know,
they're issuing the visas, aren't they? They got
yeah, they
control
should.
over.
In theory, they do.
Yeah.
But like the guy was on Q&A the other day. I forget his name, but someone was saying like, "Why has immigration been so high?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, we had a lot of students come," and it's like, but wasn't that a policy choice? like, hang on, what do you mean? Like, if students just knock on the door, you don't have to let them in. Like,
yeah, right.
so it's a bit, it's a bit weird. So anyway, they've got it returning to sort of more normal levels, which is at 200,000. You know, you could argue whether that's normal or not, but yeah, again, that's something I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay. Industrial relations.
Yeah, so this is the other thing that caught my eye. They're limiting non-compete clauses for low and middle income earners.
Right.
Yeah.
What does a non-compete clause mean? You can't.
So this is the idea. Like if you were well, they're saying if you were a hairdresser working at a hair salon and you were contracted to the salon, they would have a non-compete clause, which meant that for 6 months or something after leaving them, you couldn't work for a competing hair salon.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Or
It's a terrible example, surely. Like,
well, that's the example they're giving, saying like it's being applied for people in hair salons and childcare and places.
really?
Yeah.
Isn't that literally the journey of every employee in every job in the world? Is you work for someone doing a thing, you've got skills in that thing, like almost without exception, your next job is somewhere else doing that same thing.
That same thing. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what they're saying, like that, and that's why they want to kill it for lower and middle income earners.
I could get it if they were like, you can't just ring all of your clients from our salon and say, "Hey, I've moved over here now." Then, like, 100%.
Yeah.
But you can't go and be a hairdresser for 6 months.
Yeah.
Once you work for Joey's fashion salon, you can't be. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. But I saw, and there has been a large number of increase in non-compete clauses.
Right.
But I saw an IR specialist talking about this, saying that the reason that's happening is because small businesses are using templates more. And so they're buying their employment contracts online, and contracts is like, oh yeah, here's everything you might possibly need, which includes a non-compete clause.
ChatGPT just hallucinating and coming up with like. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
And just finally, just to close out this budget chat, I can't wait for budget 2026 already. I think this has been such an exciting time. Tobacco revenue is collapsing.
Which
is hilarious, I think.
Well, is it? Yeah.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's good, isn't it? This should be a good news story. This should be like amazing.
Well,
we did well.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so revenue's gone from 16 billion in 2020, and it's now down to just over 6 billion.
Yeah.
So 10 billion's been lost there.
Yeah.
Excises have tripled, I think, since I'm not sure, last 15 years.
Right.
So the excise has tripled. So a pack of cigarettes is now $50. But they're saying what's happened is partly it has. The thing about tobacco taxes is no one's against them, apart from a handful of smokers. So everyone's like, yeah, sure, jack it up. So it's been treated as a bit of a money pit. But what's happened is partly that fall in revenue is partly driven by people giving up smoking, but largely it's been driven by people going to illegal chop shops and turning to the black market.
Yeah. Okay.
And so you got now which has brought in organized crime, and then they're firebombing each other's chop shops, and
right.
So it's created a whole other thing. So each government over the last 15 years has jacked up the excise on cigarettes, but it's sort of now coming home to bite.
Talk about a bloody health hazard! Firebombing a tobacco storage facility. Like that's
The nicotine.
The passive smoke from that would just be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is not just because if this was 100% legal and there was no, then this is a good news story.
Yeah,
Because
it
the
would
government surely is not coming out going, come on, we need more smokers out there. We need to get the
one for mum, one for Australia.
All right, Thomas, finally on the show, we've got a chart here from The Economist talking about sweet, sweet love.
Yeah. So it's an interesting article they were running, noting that in America, like everywhere, people are having a lot less sex.
Huh.
So like only back in like in 2019, the share of people who 25 to 35 who had ever had sex was like 95%. That's now down to 90%.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and in the past year, 2015 or so, it was like 85%. We're talking about 25 to 35-year-olds in the past year. No, sorry, in the past 3 months. But yeah, so down from 85 to 70%. And it seems like there's a big COVID effect there. But yeah, people having a lot less sex than they used to.
Yeah, right. It's quite a sharp drop off too.
Isn't it? Yeah. I mean, it was vaguely trending downwards before that, but yeah.
It's very flaccid, very in terms of charts, very very limp, flaccid chart.
Yes, that's how economists would describe that result.
In case you're not watching the YouTube video, hopefully that's painting a picture for you of what we're seeing here in the data.
Yeah,
in the data. Right. And what do we attribute it to?
This is a global phenomenon, and it's a question that people are asking. So, like, some people think it's like social media driven, that everyone's so anxious and self-conscious around social media.
Yeah.
Professor Scott Galloway, who I follow and adore, he reckons that it's about reducing alcohol consumption. The people are drinking a lot less and therefore aren't making those first clumsy forays into lovemaking through social, the
series
lubricant
of bad decisions, as we used to call it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Or just like the social lubricant that alcohol can, leans against your natural anxiety.
Yeah.
And particularly if that's getting swapped out for cannabis use, which I think in America, some American states, that's what we're seeing.
Yeah. Is that global data, or is that just is that Northern Rivers data coming in again? You got to be careful, Thomas. There's a confirmation bias at work around your community.
Yeah, and then when the mushrooms kick in, it's very hard to pick up. You see, there's hard data in the states where they've legalized cannabis, that there's been a big swap out from alcohol to cannabis, to cannabis use. But whereas alcohol potentially leads to people feeling less inhibited and hooking up, cannabis goes the other way, makes you feel a bit more, typically makes you feel a bit more self-conscious and less likely to hook up.
Yeah,
I think. So that's Scott Galloway's theory, that the less alcohol use is contributing to this. But it's a global phenomenon.
Is it also the proliferation of like porn and online porn and all that stuff? Like, I think I've heard that before.
Possibly.
There's so much of that out there. It's so accessible now that maybe that's playing a factor as well.
Possibly.
But you had some other data here about just breaking it down.
Breaking it down. This is what The Economist did, and looking at this is just for the US, but saying that they're looking at average sex frequency. Yeah. So the people without a high school degree, they're having the most sex by a significant margin. Yeah. And with a graduate degree, they're having the less. So, and there's quite a tight correlation. So it seems like the more education you have, the less sex you have.
Yeah. I left school at the end of year 11.
Ladies.
Didn't go to uni. So form an orderly queue, ladies. I must confess, I saw this chart, right? The title is Average Sex Frequency in the Past Month, 2002 to 23. And then I started looking at the categories on the side. It was less than high school, some college. And I'm like, I read it initially as average sex frequency in the past month roughly is less than what I was having in high school. What I was having in high school, I had some in college. And I got down to college degree and I'm like, oh, hang on, I'm reading this chart wrong.
Yeah, right.
That's so yeah. The devil's in the detail. Always pays to read the fine print. Yeah, right. That's interesting.
Yeah, and the Center for Disease Control and Prevention looked at this and said that even when you control for age, drinking habits, employment, health, and marriage status,
Yeah,
a university degree is associated with 8% less frequent sex on average.
yeah.
But they don't really know why. There's not sociologists are a bit like, it's kind of weird, but don't know why.
I think any listeners to this show, Thomas, they look at you and they look at me, and the answer's clear. You're coming in with your budget talk and talking about industrial relations and other whatever else we talked about.
Don't even remember. You've blanked it out.
I'm already thinking about tonight's party. We're going to meet some ladies. Shout out to Anna if you're listening. Definitely not going to a party to meet some ladies. All right, that does it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'd really love it if you shared this with someone you know. Tell a friend if you've enjoyed this podcast or any of the others that we've done. Then share it with them. Share at CVE Podcast wherever they like to listen to podcasts or watch online videos. I'm talking YouTube, obviously, not so much Pornhub. OnlyFans. All right, on that note, we better go. Thanks again. We'll talk to you next time on CVE. Until then, it is bye for now.
I should set up an OnlyFans account and just like read economic data.
Yeah, probably go viral.